hello, happy Halloween, and welcome to Soirée's Facebook Live, a murderous soiree. I am excited to see you guys here. We weren't sure if we were gonna go live for this. We've had people up and down with colds, we've had busy work lives, but we must soiree, and Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. It's just so much fun, and you can let your creativity go crazy. So I couldn't say no, and we put things together on the fly, and here we are. I'm Lizzie Borden, my bloody axe, which I will put right here now so I don't have it in the way when I make cocktails. We are doing, sorry about that, I'm giving you my back. We're doing an assortment of mostly pre-batch cocktails today, and I have a couple guests here. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
They'll come up and say hello in a bit. Mostly we're costumes. We have a couple people that are questionable. Mark Davis. But no one I'm going to mention by name. And as usual, the guests are giving me the stink eye because I won't want them near the food until I talk about it. So let's start over there. Why don't we... Do we want to give this a pull back and move? There we go. So I did a really easy spread because it's been crazy at work. And yes, I know some of you are rolling your eyes at me going, that's an easy spread. It is because I didn't have to cook a lot. So I started out with a nice charcuterie tray. I found this idea on Pinterest to get the rubber skeleton and do the charcuterie inside the skeleton's body. And it just charmed me. I thought that was so hilarious. So I got a skeleton and scrubbed it down very well and arranged the meats and cheeses inside of it. And it just makes it more fun. Also, it kind of gives the meats and everything a place to lay so it doesn't all fall into itself. So I really enjoyed that idea. I'll do it again. I thought it was super fun. But putting things inside the skeleton is like my new favorite thing this year. So I tried to do a lot of foods that had black and orange themes or black and white themes. So this is like a fig assortment. We have dried figs. We have a fig loaf that I got at Guidi Marcello's, the wonderful Italian market in Santa Monica, my favorite Italian market in LA. We have some smoked almonds, some black grapes. This is a really lovely blueberry spread that you put with the cheeses. It's just gorgeous. So I'll take this out of the way. But when I do a charcuterie, I like to make just a kind of a mixture of everything. And now I have a mess all over me. I like to have meats. I like to have cheeses. I like to have fruits. Dried fruits, fresh fruits, nuts, a couple little spreads or jellies for people to enjoy, an assortment of breads and crackers. I also have the favorite truffle honey. Everybody loves the truffle honey. And this is a lovely violet jam. I also got that at Guidi Marcello's. They have a cup of Moscato jam, which I actually melt down and I use that as my glaze on my fruit tarts. But they're just little tiny jars, and it's fun to spread it on with some brie or some hard cheese on a baguette or a cracker. It's just a really different taste that maybe your guests haven't seen before. So don't be afraid when you're hunting around for things to serve to pull up a little jar and give it a try of something you have no idea what it is. That's part of the fun of it. And you'll come across some hits. That's how I discovered the truffle honey. So. I did deviled eggs with spiders on it. Yes, my spiders have 6 legs, not 8. We're not going to talk about that. And we just did Dîner en Blanc a few weeks ago, and it's a French pop-up dinner party where everybody dresses in white and goes to a secret location, and it was fantastic. But I ended up having a lot of white serving pieces. So when I was planning this party and I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of time, and I also didn't want to have to buy a whole lot, I'm like, how can I take my white serving pieces and make them Halloween-y? So I really just found some black accessories and black doilies, paper doilies, to go with the white pieces, and it made it really nice. So I didn't have to buy very many new things for this. I kind of just did a use what I have, which is one of the reasons I really prefer to buy solid colors of serving pieces and decorative accessories, because you can use them over the course of several holidays and occasions versus something that is very, very specifically Halloween-y. I'm only going to use this weekend and this next week. So try to think of solid colors, because black, white, silver, gold, red, you're going to use them again and again. So that's what I did. I cheated a little bit, but in a very good way. So back to the Dîner en Blanc, I did blinis and caviar. at Dîner en Blanc, so I decided to do that again because it was so much fun. And I didn't go super, super high end for the caviar, and we found you almost didn't need to. We really enjoyed this red caviar. It was delicious. I have fresh dill, fresh chives, and creme fraiche. So your guests will take a little blini, they'll put a little dollop of creme fraiche on it. That's a really big dollop. They'll put a little bit of the caviar. So these are bone spoons specifically for the caviar. You never want to use metal in caviar. It ruins the taste of it. And then a little bit of dill.
That's interesting. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So you that's why you get the little bone spoons. I'm going to hand this off to somebody that wants to eat a little blini. But they're really yummy. I made my own blinis. You can buy them. If you don't want to make blini, you can do little toasts. They sell those little cocktail bread loaves, and you could do like a rye toast. You could do crackers. I wanted to do, but they sold out. Trader Joe's did these amazing little ghost-shaped, I think they were like not quite a potato chip, but kind of like that. And I thought that would be great. They were actually gluten-free if you have any gluten-free guests. They were fantastic, but they were sold out. So caviar is super fun. And if you have leftovers, yeah, I know, again, you guys are rolling your eyes at me. If you have leftover caviar, put some on your omelet the next morning because it's really, really delicious on like just a plain French omelet with some herbs. So sometimes what you have can do multi-purpose, which is fantastic. So we have the caviar. Now, it sounds like I'm being super, super fancy, but like I said, I didn't spend up on the caviar. It was actually very affordable. So you don't have to break the bank doing something that feels luxurious for your guests, but doesn't cost a lot of money. So it really is all about the details. I save some money by making the blini myself. If you buy them pre-made, they are a little pricey. So full disclosure. I also did my radishes. I know you guys are probably getting tired of my radishes, but I have like the radish and butter fetish from coming back from Paris. And I found these little breakfast radishes, which I thought were amazing. And just, oops, well, it would really help if I unwrapped the butter. I sometimes forget what I've done as I'm running around in the last minutes getting ready. So if your guest just takes a little radish and puts a little bit of the butter on it, and then again, to make it more Halloween-y, I found this black sea salt. So it just makes it a little more fun. And so Mark's eating a radish. So I went to my niece's wedding earlier this year, and they had a caterer in the cocktail hour, and they brought around baby beef Wellingtons, which are like one of my favorite things in the world. I usually make them for my Christmas party. And on the tray, they had taken a radish and made a little mouse. And I was like, oh, come on, this is like the cutest thing ever. So like the little root is his tail, and the where the green leaves are is his nose, and you put the little ears in. So radish mice. You guys are going to see radish mice going forward because that, again, it just charms me. So this is another super easy, just put it out early, have a big assortment. It's fresh, it's crisp, it's peppery, and it gives some relief from the heaviness of the meat and the cheese. These are kind of a fun little experiment I did. You can do them on bruschetta. I did them on endive spears. Again, if you have somebody that's keto or gluten-free, it lets them have a little bit of luxuriousness without going for the carbs. So it's just a little bit of fresh homemade ricotta cheese. I use Ina Garten's recipe. It's really, really easy, and it's so much better than the store-bought. And on that, I've chopped up some Asian pears, some pomegranate seeds, and some pistachios, and then I drizzled the whole thing with a little bit of hot honey. So you get the richness of the cheese, the sweet tartness of the pomegranate and the pear, and a little bite of heat from the honey. So again, it's fresh, it's crispy, it's all the different textures going on. I think that is a nice variety to start with. We didn't do a big heavy table this year. We just did a few little appetizers. We have a smaller group, and I'll let them feast in just a minute. But I did do a dessert table because Halloween isn't Halloween without treats. And not all treats come in a cocktail glass, although we'll get to those very soon. So I made my typical caramel apples. I usually go to Gelson's, and they have these little tiny crab apples, which are like 2-bite caramel apples. They did not have them in this year, so I had to rough it with the full-size apples. So they're not as much fun. I think the full-size ones, the little baby ones are really nice because sometimes you don't want to eat the whole thing. You just want to take a bite or two. But I did play a little bit with the black food coloring. So this is caramel also. It's just, it has black food dye in it, just to make it more Halloween-y. And all of these knives and hatchets and everything are edible. They're sugar decorations. Wilton makes them. You can get them on Amazon or at any like cake supply store. They make a fun little decorative accessory for your tables or your cupcakes or whatever. And then I had this pan from last year, my skull cakes. And I don't think I even got to use it last year, so I've been dying to use it. So I made chocolate skull cakes. They just have a really plain glaze on it, almost like you would glaze a donut with. And then again, I took the Wilton axes and I cut like a little hole, a slit in the head, and added some the red gel to make it look like they'd been, you know, hacked at, just to have a little fun. And these are also candy. So the little bones, the little bloody bones are candy. These are also Wilton. They have a lot of really fun Halloween accessories, and they're not horribly priced. So check out Amazon, check out your cake supply store, or sometimes Target even has them. And it's a really fun way to add a spooky little touch to your cupcakes or your dessert table without going to a lot of trouble. Because, you know, I mean, I'm all about the shortcuts when I can. And now moving on to something that's not a shortcut at all. I've recently embraced the world of macarons, and they're not easy, my friends. They have their moments. So my champagne macarons, which I made for the first time for Dîner en Blanc, turned out perfectly. And yes, that's food. That's a food marker, so you can eat that. I started drawing on them. You can buy marking pens that are edible ink, and you can draw on things. Now so these are the champagne ones. Now these are blackberry with salted chocolate ganache. So you'll notice that some of them look really, really crackled. The funny thing about macarons is you can't add any moisture to the actual cookie batter because it ruins the macaron. And so I bought dehydrated blackberry powder, which one of the websites was recommending. And even with that, it still had like a little bit of an effect. And I was going to toss them, except I tried one and I'm like, I actually really like the way these taste. So these are crackaroons. So they're not quite as fancy and perfect, but they're delicious, and it's got a little chocolate in it. So don't be afraid to let your failure be a success. If you screw something up but it's still delicious, find a way to make it fun. Find a way to go with it, you know? Not everything's going to come out perfect. I have plenty of nailed it moments, and I'm not ashamed of it because that's how we learn. So perfection, not so much perfection, but delicious and fun. So, and this is what it's all about. I'm not Martha Stewart. I'm not somebody that's going to be, every little thing has to be in. I'm lucky I get this stuff done most of the time by the time y'all join me. So just have fun with it, and don't be afraid to screw up a little bit or freeform it a little bit or wing it if something doesn't turn out the way you want it to. Your guests will appreciate it anyway, and you're your worst critic. You're the one that's going to be like, oh my God, that's not perfect. The spider shouldn't have enough legs. Nobody else is going to notice it. And if they do, you haven't given them enough cocktails. So, speaking of, one more thing before we move on to cocktails. So I have, my guests are going to take home treats with them, and I have a couple people that couldn't make it. I like to do little treat boxes. Again, you can get these on Amazon or whatever, and they're just little boxes where people can put some macarons or candy or a caramel apple in. I have a bunch of them here, not made up. And so as everybody leaves, I'm going to encourage them to take all of this away, because I won't eat it, and then I'll just end up throwing it away. So my goal is that none of this stays when y'all leave. So, yeah, but it's fun to have a way for your guests to take home treats. And I have some candy, because you have to have candy for Halloween. So, okay, let's move on to cocktail world. I have mostly batch cocktails today. I'm not going to do a whole lot of on-camera mixing for you. I am going to start with, I'm going to start with one that I think is super fun, and I kind of made this up. It's a riff on a French 75. And what a French 75 is it's gin and lemon juice and a little simple syrup in the bottom of a glass, and you pour champagne over it. I'm going to do it in these, and then I have some other fun glasses to put them in. So I thought, well, what's a Halloween version of a French 75? So I've made guillotines. And my version of a guillotine is we take, here it is. I made a blood orange simple syrup. So I took fresh squeezed blood orange juice. The blood oranges are just coming out in the markets now, so you can find them. I also, when they're in season, I juice and I put it in the freezer, so I've got it all year round when they're not in season. I'm just going to put a little bit of the blood orange simple syrup in the bottom of a champagne glass. And this is also a cocktail that is a fun color and feels very Halloween-y. And then you can do this or you can skip this step. I'm going to put a tiny little splash of gin in, not a lot, just because the French 75 actually does do a little splash of gin in it. You can do vodka if you want. I know I keep on saying this to you guys. Please try to embrace other alcohols other than vodka. Gin is lovely, just buy the right ones. So don't be afraid of it. And then I am taking Prosecco I always have open in the house and just top it off. Let's see, it's a pretty color. Ooh. And this is a nice welcoming drink for your guests when they first come. It's light, it's not super, super heavy in alcohol, and you can pass it out and have people enjoy. So somebody, Mickey, would you like a champagne?
Oh, oh, look
everyone. Lighting
man down.
failure. How is everyone? Look, happy Halloween. I think my costume this year is pretty obvious. Clearly, I'm dressed as Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Woo!
I mean, we're both women of color. I barely had to dress up. But anyway, I'm thrilled to try this cocktail. Here we go. Oh, it's so delicious. And it's subtle.
It is subtle. That's why you don't want to knock everyone out, especially with the first cocktail. Like I said, this is a really good welcoming cocktail. I have these fun Halloween flutes. I just wanted to put the first ones in the clear flutes so you guys could see the color. So you can do it in regular cups if you don't have a lot of flutes. You know me, I've said this before, I don't tend to use a lot of glassware at the parties because that means I'm going to spend half the night washing everything. So I do plastic glasses, or I do like the little clear cups. So don't be afraid to do that. It doesn't mean that your party isn't nice if you have disposable serveware. If you have the time and you have the manpower and the inclination and you want to use all glassware and all silver and all china, go for it. I would love to do that. I have to be realistic. So you cut corners where you can, where they don't matter. But
cheers.
Cheers. So what do you think?
It's so good.
Yeah, I like it.
Fruity and light.
It is. It's very light. You don't get a heavy hit of the alcohol.
Unless you gun it.
We'll get to that later.
What's the name of it?
So I called it a guillotine because it's like a French 75 is named after one of the guns in World War I, right? So I picked another weapon, and it's, you know, murdery tonight, and it's red, and so I figured, and I had a guillotine, so I kind of made this one up on the fly. And it's fun to take a regular cocktail that's tried and true and put your own little twist on it. Make it a little bit different. I'm really into the blood oranges and the citrus that I always go crazy for. And this is the perfect holiday for going crazy with blood orange juice because it is such an intense color. My kitchen did look like a crime scene earlier. It was like everywhere. So,
okay.
Cheers. Okay, well, I'm going to make the next cocktail.
So I will leave.
Yes.
We'll have you back in just a minute.
Senator.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, another cocktail I did, as I said, I did a lot, mostly batch cocktails and ready to go things because I didn't want to do a lot of mixing tonight and time was short. So I wanted to play with a couple different alcohols and a couple different flavors. Here is a bourbon, blackberry, and pomegranate punch. Now I found this, let me tell you where I found this recipe. I did a take on it. It's a blogger, a cocktail blogger, JacquelineClark.com. She did a bunch of Halloween cocktails. We'll post the links on the Soirée page for where I got the recipes so you guys can follow along at home because Halloween isn't till next week, so it's not too late for you guys to plan your own. But it's a really nice combination of fresh blackberries, pomegranate juices, bourbon, a little bit of simple syrup. It's just a really lovely, simple cocktail. And I'm going to serve it over ice. See, I got smart this year. I put this up high Last time we couldn't get to the server. It was too low. Oops. And I did a bunch of just plain citrus garnishes. But this one, because it has blackberry in it, I'm going to take a little bit of rosemary and a blackberry. And I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of these and hand these out. So this is just another nice, easy one. I don't like to spend my parties as the bartender because it's really not that much fun to be standing there while everybody else is playing and drinking. So do a couple batch cocktails. Make yourself a favor. And let yourself enjoy the party as well. I've got Cassie and Mickey. Do you guys want to give this a try and let us know what you think? I'll make a couple more.
Double fisting it.
Come around.
Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is.
It is really pretty.
I like the colors that you get out of these. So it may sound silly because it's like, well, who cares what color it is? But I like to get all the different vibrant colors because you drink and eat with your eyes as well as your mouth. So make it look good. Make it look fun. Plus, all the reds are kind of blood themed. So
It smells good.
Here you have the first lady and the senator.
Massachusetts. Go Sox.
Massachusetts. Wow.
Go Sox.
Sox up right now? Anyone know?
oh yeah, the game's on.
And the Super Bowl.
Eric,
Do you want to come join us and have a cocktail?
The rosemary
There we
smell.
go.
let's see Eric's costume.
Yes.
His very clever, thoughtful costume. He was
I'm
Gotta
starting
clean.
clean with my philosopher's socks.
It's really
Hobbes,
Eric-
Plato, and Kant.
go nice.
Eric, do you want to
Go stand over there by the lady so
Yeah.
everyone can see how incredibly how much taller you are.
Oh, yeah.
And how hard it is for me to get every person in this freight.
I know, this is not an easy
I
fight.
cannot
Oh,
do Eric and Nikki.
I know, this is my favorite. I
Stand
love
up,
standing
I
next to
know
Mickey.
This is they make a beautiful couple.
They
You're
do.
like
We're
cheers.
soulmates.
Cheers.
Oh, it to the top of your head.
I know.
I know.
Now I filled in the middle.
There you go.
But I cheated.
Cheers.
You have
Yeah,
I got
heels.
heels. I got heels.
I
on.
can't wear
cheated.
heels.
Have you tried?
Well, no.
Gosh.
Barely
The answer to that
walk
question
is not-
is yes.
Yes. Oh, this
Well,
is so good.
It's probably about that time.
And
It's probably about that time to say goodbye.
Oh, already.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, let's do one more cocktail quickly
right.
before we go.
Okay.
The
The truth is that I really just want to cut this short so I can have a cocktail.
yeah.
But
No,
no.
because it's all about making Kira have cocktails.
It is. This is the only reason we do this show. It's true.
So I'm going to do one more. I did another batch cocktail, and it's gin, blood orange, and elderflower liqueur, which is the Saint Germain that I've used before. So it's a little bit floral, a little bit citrusy. It's got a little bit of lime juice. And the fun part of it is you actually add a little bit of ginger ale at the end. So let me do a couple quick ones because Kira's wagging her finger at me that she's thirsty. But so I just... instead of mixing anything, I just put this in here. You can leave a little bit of room at the top for the ginger ale. You could also, if you didn't want to do ginger ale, do club soda or sparkling water or champagne with this. But the nice thing about the ginger ale is it gives it that little extra bite. Let's see if I can get this on the fly. Oh,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It was on silent though. How do I stop it?
we got something going on out there. I don't even know.
Nikki's having phone
So I'm
trouble.
gonna put a couple little, and I'm gonna put a couple little fun pomegranates in it, seeds, and I'm gonna put a little.
I love that it's so simple that it was just one or two steps, but it looks so classy and it still looks like a fun.
Yeah, and it just
Cocktail.
takes a moment to put together. So you're not standing behind the bar all night mixing drinks. You're just doing a fun little garnish. Does anyone want to take a quick taste of my blood orange, Mark?
Hello?
I think I got Mickey running over here really quickly. Oh.
How am I going to juggle these?
See, next year you're going to have to be an
This is
octopus so you've got more
cocktails.
hands for more
This is a
cocktails.
violation of campaign.
And then there's buckets and buckets of leftover caviar. What should we do?
That's That's what happens when you come to Soirée.
We'll give it to the poors.
Yeah.
Let them
Wow.
eat cake.
This one is the most
Or caviar.
sophisticated one.
It is. Well, it's got the Saint Germain in it. And I
Yeah.
always think the Saint Germain
Yeah,
has
it
that
does
little
class
je ne
it
sais
up.
quoi. It does. It classes
Very
it
deep.
up.
Well, and it's
Great.
funny because I've never heard of Saint Germain until I started doing Soirée, and now I see it all every time I go to a liquor store. I'm like, ooh.
So they call it the bartender's best friend,
Mhm.
and it was invented or created in France 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever it was. And the creator actually passed away a few years ago, but it kind of made its way around the bar scene in Paris, and then made its way to the States, and it quickly became one of the most popular little additives in bars because you get so much punch, so much addition of flavor to your drink with just a little sip or two of it. So she's cracking me up. So it's I always keep a
It's a
bottle of Saint
lovely
Germain in there. It's
flavor.
really beautiful. And if you're just kind of being lazy but you still want something fun, a little splash of Saint Germain in a glass of champagne is never a bad thing. So
Ooh.
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite things as
Nice.
well. So, well, I think we are going to bid you all a fond farewell. We're going to say
Yes.
Happy Halloween.
Squeeze in there.
We will
Happy
continue
Halloween.
to celebrate into next week because I think Halloween's not till Wednesday.
Yeah.
So it's not too late to throw together a little shindig with your friends. It's not too late to make some plans and make a costume. Please try. Have a costume. Have fun. You costume averse people. I don't know. It doesn't have to be crazy or elaborate. Just be silly.
Yeah, Mark.
It's really fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mark.
Mark.
Mark. But enjoy your Halloween.
Have a costume.
Be safe. Be safe. Uber, Lyft, cab, that kind of thing if you're drinking. But make lots of spooky cocktails and make lots of spooky memories with your friends. So happy Halloween from Soirée.
Cheers. Cheers.